All right, we should be live now. We are now live on 2 additional platforms. The
Facebook?
TVGP page on Facebook, along with Periscope. So you should see it at the top of your Twitter feed.
Oh,
if
cool.
everything works how I guess it should. Allegedly.
Allegedly is the key word there, dude. Come on.
Yeah, there we go. We're live on Periscope as well.
Other monitor is so fucking far away right now.
Aaliyah's far enough away that you have an echo.
Yeah.
Nice to see Pikachu showing up in chat. Pika to you as well. Pika be with you.
Pikachu don't compare to Reptar.
Well, Raptar is not in the fucking emoji thing that I can pick, or whatever the hell they're calling these.
Wait a minute.
What?
Triple
Raptar. Oh. Okay. You guys ready to start?
I'm looking for this fucking Raptar thing.
Now it's personal.
I'll have to find that later.
Yeah.
It's just all the because this monitor is so wide and such a high resolution, all the icons are like this fucking big.
Right, like 5 pixels tall.
Yeah.
Hold on. I don't know. I don't understand who these other people are. Well, obviously I know who Eevee is.
They're all so tiny. There's like a mushroom, frog person.
Or not, Jesus Christ. Angry Beavers, that's what it was called.
Oh, Angry Beavers, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I know this is the second one, Powerpuff Girls. Like the weird monkey.
Yeah, sure,
Mojo
maybe.
Jojo. And I
Yeah.
know this because my wife used to watch Powerpuff Girls, and she's getting my daughter into it now. And
There you go.
apparently, they remade Powerpuff Girls, I don't know, like a couple years ago.
Oh, that's
That's it.
right. Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, ready,
Really
gents?
breaking down the TV shows that I get to watch.
Right.
I'm sure Boston has a 16-hour diatribe on fucking kids' TV shows that he loves and hates.
Yeah, let's talk about the hierarchy of the Paw Patrol. Let's go.
I'm just
Okay.
saying, I'm glad that we've made it past My Little Pony because I could not take that shit anymore.
Yeah.
I-
We don't really watch that here because I don't.
From a former relationship, I still have the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse theme stuck in my head.
God, it's the worst. I will absolutely not let my kid watch that show just because of that They Might Be Giants song.
That
I
hot
can't-
dog song?
Yes, that
Yep.
song.
Can't do it.
Yep, been there.
Can't do it now. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston Dreamy, as always, is Moonpier.
Hello.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Get all the cool behind-the-scenes early access stuff. Help me pay for the show. Get that progress bar a little bit closer to Boston's Tierathon or Resident Evil 7. Now
should
the
we call it?
best-selling Resident Evil game of the franchise, which is fantastic news, as it should be.
Yes. 100% as it should be.
Yeah.
I need 200. I need that number to hit that number so we can get you to
Yeah.
that number so we can make you poop yourself.
Yep.
I just need it.
Well,
On the bright side, it always shows up on sale too. So
that's true. It's
In
true.
the year of our Lord 2020, I need something good in my life other than my
Right.
wife and my cats. I love them both. They are
Sure.
great things in my life. Our anniversary is soon. Not that I remember that or anything.
Those are your constants. Those are always good.
Yes, I
Yeah.
need something externally good.
You
In
need
this
another
case-
hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
need to hear somebody else cry. Come on.
Right. That's right. That's right. All right. On that note, Moon, what have you been playing this past week?
So I got 2 games.
Okay.
I'm going to talk about the first one first, obviously, and the second one second. Duh. I'm going to leave the shorter one for the second because I might be a while on my first one.
Okay.
And so the best thing is I played this and beat this game so fast it didn't show up on my Twitter feed, so you'll have no idea what it is. And I
Ooh.
love it.
Secrets.
Boston, you better join me in this conversation because if you still haven't beaten this game, I am going to slap you across the face.
I'm prepared to be slapped. I hope this
Okay.
doesn't awaken anything in me.
It is Fast and the Furious Crossroads.
Yeah, I have not yet finished it, but
Dude, it's like 4 hours long.
I know I think I'm almost at the end, but this week's We Roguelike It game
No, that's not
took me by
excuse.
surprise.
I literally beat it in a day.
I know.
How much you want to bet he's on the last race?
Almost guaranteed.
Where are you?
The last thing I did was I talked to Letty, and she said like, "Hey, look at these delivery trucks. I bet they're gonna go deliver some
Dude,
bad
you've
stuff."
got like 6 races left. Like that's
I know.
it.
I know. I'll do it this week.
Okay, so I'm just gonna spoil some stuff from this game for you here.
Please do. I'm not that precious about this one.
No, nobody should be that precious about this game. Okay, so you remember how everybody was lamenting the complete lack of B tier licensed games?
Yep.
Yo, baby, they're back.
Right. Crossroads is here, man.
1,000% they are back, and I am here today with you people, the listeners. I'm not talking to these idiot hosts of mine. I'm talking to you,
That's
the
right.
listeners,
Wait a minute.
to right a wrong.
Okay.
Specifically, to right a wrong from last week when Boston said the driving in this game is fine. He
That's
lied
fine.
to you, folks. He 100% lied to you.
Are you gonna say
Driving
it's
is
great?
Not fine. It's terrible, dude.
Okay. I feel like I have played some really terrible driving games in the past. It functions. It's fine.
Dude, I played so many driving games in my life.
Yeah.
And this is not good.
I'm not saying this is like Forza 7 or anything.
For starters, right, I'm going to try and avoid spoiling too much of my notes here because there's a very big one coming later on. Right, here is my notes. This tiny little section here that you can't see because it's too bright, but you get the idea. This tiny little section is my notes on the last game I'm going to talk about. These are the notes for Fast and Furious.
Pages upon pages of handwritten notes.
I don't know what
So,
that big scribble was, but that looked pretty elaborate.
Excited to find out, yeah.
I will get there. That'll be in a little bit. So, first and foremost, let's talk about some references.
Yes.
The game throws out references a lot, obviously. You got some obvious ones, the New York cars, Suki's crew, whatever. One you missed, Boston, the Racer's Choice. The store that they buy the fuel from is the store
yep.
from Fast One.
Oh, I caught that one. I didn't mention it on the show, but yes.
Okay,
It very
yeah.
clearly like shows like the racer's choice. It's like, all right.
Have you met the third movie character yet?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Roman is in the game.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah, I haven't run into him yet because
Um,
the game is very much like featuring the voices of these three people.
100%. First and foremost, actually, let's talk about the Barcelona location title card, shall we? And
Yes.
how great that shot is.
Yep.
Like, it's a really good shot. Roman makes a reference to this better not be about no damn cigar, which I loved.
It's good.
So great. I'm not going to talk too much about the references. You'll get them if you're a family member. #family.
Yep.
If you're not a family member, they'll just be bits of text that you can squeeze on by. Also, I love the fact that it's called the Fast Family Album.
Yes, it's really good.
Really called the Fast Family Album. I love that so much. Okay, so Dom looks weird,
Yeah.
and Vin Diesel himself looks weird, but this version of him looks weirder still.
Yeah. Like just a little bit off.
It looks like a Madden player, including the pads, except they haven't drawn the pads.
Yeah, he's pretty big.
The character models are okay.
Yeah.
They're not great. They're not terrible. Roman actually looks the best out of all of them, to be completely honest.
Okay. Letty looks fine.
Letty looks fine. The lady who plays Cam,
Mhm.
number one, Cam is my favorite character in this game.
Okay.
She's one of the two people who you play the game as. She's the one who likes hybrids, for the record.
Okay.
Non-binary, which I love.
Sure.
And I love the fact that she is referred to as they, them, the
Okay.
entire game. Normalizing pronoun choices is a good thing.
Yep.
The person who voice acts her is also non-binary. So it's a
That's
really
great.
good...
Yeah, because one of the first times they show up, the guy that it is dating the main character who drives the truck in the second act is like, oh, you can feel free, you can tell them, they should know. And I was like, that's interesting. That I wonder if that.
Yeah, phrasing on that particular sentence.
Yeah, and I was like, that's
could
cool.
go either way.
Yeah,
But they get into their backstory, and Cole says the whole backstory. And it's like, they were just playing in their yard. They were doing this. I grew up with them. It's like,
that's cool.
Cool. Non-binary, fantastic.
Nice.
Don't know what the elfish tattoo says on her neck.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
But
Certainly nothing I would expect out of like a B tier game.
No, definitely not. But normalizing this stuff is how we make progress, and that's fine.
Yep.
That's great by me, actually. The tattoo, which I'm guessing is elfish based on the script and the fact that I can't actually read what it says, that's on the actual actress's neck. So I will have to look in and
interesting.
see what that actually says. Okay, here we go.
All right.
Get your boots on, boys, because we're about to go wallowing through the mud. I have a section here called The Steering Journey, which is to say, the journey of how this game steers. For anyone who plays video games, especially car racing games, usually there's one of two options. Sim, arcade.
Yeah.
Sim, Formula 1 2020, great example of that. Brake, turn, accelerate, go. Steering kind of acts relatively normally. There's a good resistance when you're just driving in a straight line. A full lock isn't going to make you do a U-turn. Arcade, burnout. Two types of arcade games. Keep your finger on the throttle, tap the brake and drift, or release the throttle, tap the throttle and hold it again and drift. That's the two types of arcade controls, essentially. Third type is Mario Kart, where you do a little hop, whatever. This is halfway between all three of them.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, because if you put a full lock steering on while going straight down the road, you'll just do a U-turn. Like, you will just straight up do a U-turn.
Yep.
If you brake, you'll drift, but not a controllable drift to any sense of the word.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you do the throttle release, throttle pull again, you'll do the same uncontrollable drift.
Into a wall.
Into a wall. Every single time into a wall. So the key here is, it's an arcade game where you have to steer around corners like it's a sim. You release the throttle, you turn, you power on. That's how you get around corners in this game without doing ridiculous, like, smashing into everything that you see. You can't change the camera angle.
No, and it drives me insane.
It's really tight on the back window of the car that you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're towing something, more on that later. And even then, it's still too tight. Like, it feels like they're going for a movie kind of shot, and it's like, no, give me first person mode. I paid to be Vin Diesel. I want to be Vin Diesel.
Show me his hands, man. I
want to see those hands on that steering wheel with that dashboard that you can clearly see you've modeled really well through the back window of this car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't go in first person mode, or even bumper mode, or bonnet mode, or anything like that. Daytona USA had more camera angle modes than Fast and Furious Crossroads.
And it's just so surprising from, like, the team that made Project Cars.
Let's talk about this. Yeah. I don't buy it.
No, this has to be, like, brought to you by the same studio. It's like, yeah, but, like, which sub-studio?
It also has Trigun in it, which is a development studio, I believe.
Okay.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if the Project Cars guys was two dudes who were sent over to tweak the handling a little bit or something.
Right.
And that way they could say, yeah, this is Project Cars people worked on this. No, not a chance. This game doesn't play, feel, or look. Cars look good. The environments look good. That one highway that you're driving down for 20 minutes with the same left and right corners on it over and over and over again, that looks fine.
Right. It was still like very much a budget title, but it doesn't look bad. It's not like Deadly Premonition where you're like, this is not great.
The people look like plasticine monsters, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But the cars look great. And by the way,
they look like characters you make in Skyrim, where it's like, you sort of look like a human, I guess. Sort of.
The randomizer on?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So... Clearly, the budget for this game went on three things. 3 voice actors,
Yep.
1 title license,
Yeah. Yep.
and all of the car licenses.
Yep.
Like, there's literally the 3 things I can see that would cost them money to make this game, because there's a lot on the rest of it that clearly didn't cost a lot to make.
Yeah.
And speaking of things that games 2 decades ago got perfectly right, I want more corner indicators than an up arrow, a right arrow, and a left arrow, please.
Yeah.
If I have a 90-degree turn coming in front of me, give me a 90-degree turn arrow. If I have a little wibble to the right, like a very mild, to use my reference I've made here, Rally Games did this 2 decades ago. And I'm not kidding when I say
Right.
Rally Games did this 2 decades ago. Give me a soft right 1,
Right.
soft left 2, right hairpin 9. Like,
Right.
5 different images and this problem is solved. But no, you give me 3 and I see a straight right arrow and like, well, there's a 90-degree corner coming up, break, turn, drift into a wall because it's a 2-degree corner.
You just drift off a cliff. Yep.
It's
That's why you don't follow your GPS like that.
dude, there is no GPS. There is no map. There is no mini map.
Yeah.
There is no road map. There is nothing like that. It's literally a big yellow street sign in the middle of the road in front of you.
And like a point off in the distance, it's like 2 kilometers away. It's like, okay, how do I get?
How do I
can
get
you
there?
draw a line on the road?
Do I
Maybe.
go through the shortcuts? Do I follow
Right.
the main roads? Do I do this? Do I, or whatever? My next note here says this is the game all about Dom's dramatic exit. By the time you've hit the game, Boston, he's already done it twice.
Yes.
About 3 more times before the end of the game, and you'll be fine. You'll
Great.
have Dom's dramatic exit will be done. Speaking of references, hey Boston,
Yes, sir.
we recently finished watching the entire Fast Saga for Critical Misses. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Go check it out. Patrons are up to about 6 now, I think, roughly.
Something like that. Yeah. More than
Okay,
halfway
so-
through.
What's the worst thing in the entire Fast and Furious franchise?
The tunnel scene from Ampersand.
Okay, so what would you not want to reference in a video game about Fast and Furious movies?
That would be at the top of the list. Would be number 1, don't talk about Fast Ampersand Furious, and number 2,
Don't talk about it, make references to it. Just,
never mention the worst tunnel sequence in film history. Moon just holds up his thing that says there are tunnels. Why? Yeah. The Fast Saga movies have never done tunnels right. Almost got them real close in the one with the flippy F1 cars, but that was a special circumstance.
Yeah. And guess what? These
Oh.
tunnels look exactly the same as the Ampersand tunnels.
Shoot me in the
Exactly
face.
The same wooden frames. They're about 3
swear
times
to
the
God.
width, because you can't have a 1-car wide tunnel in this game because the cars don't steer.
Right. Why Crossroads? Why would you do this? We've been so good to you, Fast Saga. Why would you betray us so?
So, moving on to my next point. By the way, in case you can't tell, I beat this game. I have every single player achievement except for one, and it took me literally like 5 hours.
Yep.
Full disclosure here, I am raking this game over the coals. I didn't pay for this game. I got this for free from a friend of the show. Thank you, Monkey Senior, for sending me a code to
For
my
punishing me.
nightmares.
I paid $60 for this game, by the by. I think this is the only full price game I have purchased this year.
Mhm.
No,
Right.
I also bought Animal Crossing. So 2 games.
You are a braver man than me.
Yeah.
Well, dude, in 10 years' time, you're going to be paying full price for Animal Crossing anyway, so
That's true.
you have to say that.
That's true.
Or more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I beat the game. The story is completely and utterly Fast and Furious insane,
Great.
but more like an ampersand insane.
Okay.
Let me clarify this. It has an ampersand insanity
Uh-huh.
till second to last mission, and then it gets a 5 insanity.
Uh-huh.
Or maybe a 6 insanity I might go with. Yeah, I'll go with a 6 insanity, not a 5.
Sure.
It's not as good as 5. It's a
Right.
6 insanity. It's got a 6 insanity for that last couple of missions, which is genuinely hilariously stupid in a Fast and Furious kind of way.
Great. I love it.
And one of those is Dom's dramatic return is one of those, obviously, because he's
From-
already done that 4 times.
After he disappeared half an hour ago.
Yes. However, before this game was released, you may have seen me tweet something specifically related to this game, this game's achievements, with the words, "Go F yourself."
The other half of the achievements.
Yeah. Literally 25 are single player achievements out of 50. 25 on multiplayer.
Yeah.
Number 1, go to hell with this crap.
And it's like pushing it from moment one where it's like, yeah, you play single, multiplayer. Look at this create your own crew. It's like, I don't want to do any of that.
And it has a season pass.
Oh, God. For what? What? Never mind.
It has a season pass because it has a multiplayer mode. That's literally why it has a season pass. Come on, it's 2020. Get with the program, Boston.
That's right. Season 1 of Crossroads. Get to rank 100. 60 cars, drop in an island.
I wish that would be interesting.
Actually, that
Get a
would be
game
okay.
to do it.
Yeah, like I'd play that. That'd be great.
Okay, so it has a multiplayer mode, and it's
Yes.
me, so I have to try the multiplayer mode.
Sure.
I ain't not playing 400 multiplayer matches. You go straight to hell.
400, like, minimum, by the
Mhm.
way.
I'm not playing 400. Go to hell. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Take your season pass and shove it where the sun don't shine.
Have you played 4?
So, I thought we discussed this. I think I might have mentioned it. If it goes in Game Pass, it might have a decent online community because then you've got people
Yeah.
who basically haven't bought the game who will gladly plump a bunch of multiplayer mode into it. I thought I'll find a match, see what it's like, get the loot, get the DL of this multiplayer.
I
mode, see what's
optimistically
going
thought I'd find a match. Yep.
on. We'll get there. So I loaded in, and it's like, oh, matchmaking time 25 seconds. I was like, number 1, that's a lie.
Yeah, 100%. This isn't Fall Guys. Like, come
Number
on.
2, it stuck me in a lobby after 20 seconds
Oh, okay.
by myself.
Okay.
So this is why the matchmaking time is 25 seconds.
Right.
It's triple faction wars, essentially. Heroes, villains, cops. That's your thing. It's kind of it's even better because you need 3 of each to start a match. So that's 9 people.
That's a big ask. Okay.
6 people is a big ask for this game. Even before it is launched, 6 people is a big ask for this game before it launches. Right. So I sat in the lobby and I did some sketches and messed around with Twitter a little bit on my fancy tablet and hung
Made
around
a
for
nice
while.
stew.
Made a slow roasted stew. It took me 45 minutes to get a full lobby.
Great.
45 minutes times 400 is 18,000. 18,000 divided by 60 is 300 hours minimum for that multiplayer achievement.
So 2020 and probably the platform's hardest 1,000 points.
It's really getting there, except for broken and glitched ones, but
True.
probably yes. This thing needs to go on Game Pass. It needs to go on everywhere as free as possible. Number 1, it should not be $60. Number 2, it shouldn't even be close to $60. Number 3, give me it for 30 and I might give you a buy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I feel like
a buy than I'm giving you now.
At a budget price, I feel like it would be a lot more appealing for people to get in where it's like, yeah, I like Fast and Furious. I could play a racing game. It's $30. Like, that's fine. And like, you would almost think that if you could get enough of an audience, we're not game developers, so like, take this with a grain of salt. But if you get enough people in, and then you start charging for like season 2, season 3's passes, then you can have a longer profitable tail on the game as opposed to, I'm not buying that for $60, so you're not getting anything.
Mm-hmm. So let me tell you about the season pass.
Mm-hmm.
Cars, titles, little fancy things for your logo, new license plates. These are all part of the season pass because, of course, there's a player card and cosmetics. And
Right.
You got your background and your banner and your logo.
They're just copying Call of Duty at this point.
They have sprays.
Oh, God.
They literally have sprays.
Does the car spray?
The car sprays.
I hate this.
I have chosen the DK spray, which
Great.
is a car going sideways in a big circle. I'm perfectly fine with that.
That's really good.
So that is my spray of choice. So the multiplayer works like the single player, where it's here is an objective, go use your harpoon guns or your missiles or your EMPs or whatever stupid BS tech that you have on
All
your
the
vehicle.
Fast Saga stuff, yeah.
Yeah, go use that stuff to do this target. Villains have a tank to protect, the heroes have a tank to stop. And every
Okay.
single level, the cops have heroes and villains to arrest.
Okay. Weird. All right.
It gets better because there's takedowns, just like you have in the single player, which
Right.
is basically an advertisement for the multiplayer at this point. You take someone down, it's like, take down, Dom, took down, blah. Except this
Right.
time it's Moon, took down, Weed Smoker 420. It's
Right.
like, of course.
And like
you know.
every time I see that screen, it's like, yeah, man, I could be playing Burnout Paradise.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But Burnout Paradise doesn't have missiles that come out the back of my car. Doesn't
That's
have
fair.
all
And I
this
can't
stuff.
do that like left to right, like shunting thing, which would be great.
Yeah. Oh, let me tell you, a broken right bumper is really fun playing this game, where it only activates every 3 times I press it. Just so you
Right.
know. So anytime anyone's on my right, I'm just like bah, 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 trying to get it to go. So part of the season pass is cars. The hero car that you can unlock with the season pass is Paul Walker's Toyota Supra from I think it was 2.
Okay.
So you can you like get cars with different skills and stuff like that. You can unlock these vehicles for Thingo. The villain's car is the flip car.
I mean, that's the one I want.
Yeah.
I want the flip car.
With the season pass, it's the flip car.
Do you get the first season free for purchasing this $60 game?
I got the first season free because I got the deluxe edition. So if you got the
Oh,
deluxe
no.
edition, then yes.
I pre-ordered it, so I got some sort of green car. I wonder if it's the same O'Connor
That might
one.
be the Supra. I'm
Yeah.
not sure.
Oh, I think it is.
But yes, so you unlock cars. The cars have skills. You have an XP system that levels up, and it does my favorite thing that multiplayer games have always done. That's sarcasm. I know it's hard to tell with my tirade I'm on right now. But the higher level you get, the more powerful your skills get.
Right.
So guess what happens when you're a level 0 person and somehow there's a level 58 dude in your lobby and he's not on your team?
That's going to be a real bad time.
Uh-huh. Let me tell you about the time that one cop took me down 6 times and I literally couldn't move.
Great.
All this being said,
Yeah.
the Fast and Furious Crossroads has been redeemed. The multiplayer
Okay.
mode is a godsend. It is my favorite multiplayer mode of all time because, as my notes here say, but, when you level up, it has loot crates.
Heaven help us.
It drops a giant safe onto the screen in front of you,
Okay.
and then a charger does a big loop-de-loop around it, grabs a grapple hook, and then pulls the front door off this safe, and then all your rewards come spitting out.
Okay. That's great. I love it. That's like
Genuinely
that's the one
fantastic,
great thing from this. Yep.
like, great little moment. Dude, don't buy this game. Like,
Yeah.
not you. Obviously, you bought the game. You,
Yeah,
you have
I'm
to
in.
rationalize your decisions. That's
I'm a
fine.
hashtag family idiot at this point. Like, I bought the game.
If you have a rental service available and you feel like renting it, knock yourself out.
Oh, it's perfect.
5 hours, you'll be done with the single player game, and
Yep.
you can walk away. If it comes to Game Pass, give it a shot. Who
Yep.
cares at that point? Like
Whenever
Game
it comes
Pass,
to PS
Gold,
Plus,
PlayStation Plus, like give it a shot then. Dudes, just dudes. Like I miss the B game. I miss the B tier game.
mhm,
I miss the B tier game like Iron Man and the Captain America game, which were not great, but decent little character action games. Disney's Bolt is one of the best character action games that exists, and that is a B tier game.
right.
B tier licensed game to make it even better. That's a quality product. I don't miss this kind of B tier licensed game.
Yeah, the ones that are just not great.
It feels like they give them 6 months at minuscule budget and said, "We've got these licenses, these people, and this name for the game. make something within that budget. And they did the best they could. There's like 3 locations, 4 maybe. And they did what they could. But yeah.
But with like
It's
6 months and $100,000, they made what they could.
It's not great. And now that my 30-minute tirade about Fast and the Furious Crossroads is over, let's talk about the other thing I played.
Okay.
Carrion. I have completed the game Carrion, which was spoiled by my Twitter feed. Yeah, I really like Carrion. I don't know if you've continued playing it using my my methods, Boston, where you do one section then quit.
I'm hoping to this week, because I need to start making progress on some other stuff other than the roguelike we're playing this month.
Yeah. Is it just me, or is like the past 2 roguelikes,
Mm-hmm.
the one we're doing now and the one everybody's listening to on the main feed now, I believe, the past Game Club game are all games that have literally destroyed our plans for gaming for like a month and a half in 2020.
Yeah, there's a bunch of games that are sort of like, I don't know, this could be sort of okay. And we were talking about it on We Roguelike It, so I won't spoil it. But like the cover art for this recent game we're playing, a We Roguelike It, is sort of like, I don't know if this game's gonna be for me. And it's like 2 runs later, I'm like, oh no, I'm in trouble. This is this is not good.
It's a roguelike, so you can very easily put 40 hours into it and be like, oops, I didn't play this 2020 release that came out yesterday.
Yeah. Thankfully, the latest We Roguelike game is a 2020 release, so there's a little bit less guilt.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
But yes, anyway, Carrion. I have completed the game. I have seen the ending. I absolutely adore the way that game ends. A game with very little plot has a really great plot moment for the final couple of sections.
That's exciting.
I love the achievements in it. It makes very referential achievements, like when you get the secret room stuff. Like it makes like jar references because you're opening secret jars to get secret abilities.
Right.
For example, Jean-Michel Jarre is one of the achievements for getting 15.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. And I'm going to spoil this now because most people don't pay attention to trophy names or trophy descriptions. But the final story-based achievement you get in Carrion, that's Carrion, there is a reason I'm spelling it, is carry on, comma, my wayward son.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Literally, that's the final story-based achievement in the game.
Yeah. I like it.
I got to the story beat that happened with. The thing started happening, and then while movement was taking place, it popped up and it was like, carry on, comma, my wayward son. I was like, oh, that's great. It's literally
it's
genius.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's so good. So if you don't want to spend $60 and you're a Game Pass member, pick up Carrion instead. That's about another 8-hour experience that you can complete and possibly have a good time doing so.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I've been playing this week. Sorry, guys. It's Fast and Furious has literally made me want to punch things right now. I didn't realize how mad I was until I sat down and started talking about how mad I was.
Right. All right, Nimp, how about you this week?
Well, I didn't fare that much better. So, my one game that I'm going to talk about today is Ghost of Tsushima. I have beaten it.
Nice.
There is going to be very, very light spoilers that I'm going to talk about, not related to story or lore. This is all like
mechanic
scene
stuff
related. Yeah. When you complete the game, they basically give you an awesome reason for going back and finishing exploring. Which is something that's very rare in an open world game. Any of them, really.
Mm-hmm.
So they leave that open so you don't have to complete everything your first run through. You can go back. They give you an objective once you beat the game that makes you kind of want to go back and finish playing everything else.
Okay.
That's all awesome. The thing that I want to talk about is the very last duel in the game. Like I said, I'm not going to ruin anything story-wise or anything. This is all just place setting. You are in an old Japanese cemetery.
Dope.
And there is a red maple tree on one side, cherry blossoms on the other side,
Yeah.
and the ground is just littered with these petals and leaves.
Dope.
The weeaboo in me is intrigued.
Yeah.
When your character and the last enemy that you have square up, you realize that the cemetery is also on a cliff.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is a setting sun in the background.
Oh, man. Real samurai business.
Yeah, no, this game starts heavy on samurai and drops heavy on samurai at the end.
Nice.
I mean, once I had beaten this game, I was like, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I really love how the story ended.
Mm-hmm.
I really love just the whole story in general, the lore, the random bits of stuff they have in this game. I freaking love this game.
Yeah.
And I kind of do want to keep playing it, even though I've beaten it.
Well, I mean, you can still 100% it because it sounds like all the optional, like the side stuff sounds really, really fun to do.
I did. So a lot of the side missions that you can do are, you've got basically like character driven side missions, and then you just got your random, find the Sanari Shrine or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I did all the character side missions because those do actually give you more lore into what's going on and what's happening in that world. So all of those I had completed, and when I beat the game, I think I'm at like 64% for trophies. So the rest of it's just mopping it up and getting what I missed.
Right.
But I mean the lore of this game actually made me do a little bit of research on okay, how much of this is factual and how much of this is like, Hollywood magic or whatever. And a lot of it is pretty factual.
Okay.
Obviously it's a video game, so a lot of it's made up too.
Right.
But it kind of had me reading a lot of historical texts about the era that here in America, public schools don't tell you a whole lot about otherworldly stuff, believe it or not. Yeah.
Weird.
I mean, everyone's heard of Genghis Khan.
Right.
But no one's heard about the other Khans. Or I doubt a lot of people know about how the Khans pretty much took over Japan. Or, that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of extra real world historical reading that I was doing because of this game.
Right.
And I hope that they make another game with this IP because the way they leave it off, I mean, you can literally see this being, okay, this was a samurai story. The next quote unquote ghost game could very well be, this is how the lore of the ninja took over in Japan.
Oh, okay.
Because you're slowly kind of heading in that direction with your character where, yeah, he was a samurai, but he's starting to do some real ninja stuff right now.
Right.
And it's not really acceptable in this time period.
Right.
So I think that would be a really cool thing for Sucker Punch to try to take over. It's like, okay, so let's try to introduce how the lore of being a ninja started kind of thing. So it's really great. I could see them taking... Either they could try to make a direct sequel. I would love that, and I would play another samurai game. Or they could just try to do another ninja thing, or they even drop off some things about something else possibly happening in the game during that time period. So they've got, if they wanted to, they have a lot of directions to go. And if they don't ever touch it again, that would suck. But I mean, it's a really good game. I really love it. I highly suggest everyone pick up this game and play it.
Yeah.
So... Yeah. But that was it. Like, I had 4 hours this morning, and I managed to get through the last bit. So, yeah, there's a lot of heartache at the end of this game. So.
Yeah, I did love the fact that like they throw me some 2020 suggestions on Twitter, and your response was literally Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah. Well, and the cool thing, I have a screenshot that I'll post on Twitter later. When you beat the game too, and they throw you back into the world, they have a reason for the character, for why you're playing the character that you're playing as, and I'll leave that ambiguous. Your character is sitting at a table writing a letter, and it takes you a snap second to realize that, hey, there's like this origami thing that kind of looks like a car, which is kind of weird, and obviously several hundred years too early for that concept.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I saw Ratchet's face as an origami thing.
Great.
And then you start to look around and you see Kratos' axe as an origami axe.
That's pretty
And then
good.
there's one of those satellite long neck dinosaur things from Horizons.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. They've got all kinds of cool stuff at the end of this game. It was
That's
really
cool.
awesome. So,
Man.
yeah, I love this game.
I love the fact that
Definitely.
you said car and then named a whole bunch of like really big franchise names, not including Gran Turismo, which is obviously the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, because at first, the way the camera angle's situated, all you see is this red thing. And it's
Mhm.
like, because it's origami, it looks like this polygonal mess.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're sitting there. Yeah.
Heyo.
So you're sitting there looking at it. It's like, what is this red thing that you're looking at? And it looks like a car when you look at it and you think about it rationally as a modern person, but you're trying to place in that time period, what the hell is this red thing on the table?
Or is it like,
And
are
it-
they pulling an Assassin's Creed and it's like, yeah, I know about cars and like robots and all that stuff, whatever.
Yeah. And then you see the next thing that I noticed was the long neck. I'm like, that looks like, oh, that's the long neck, that's a car, and that's Ratchet's face, and there's Kratos' axe. Awesome.
Right. I'm like, I got it. All right.
So yeah, so there's a lot of cool things. I love this game. I highly suggest people picking it up. It's going to be hard to beat this out of my top 3 for this year.
Nice.
So
We roguelike it.
There you go. I also finished a game this week. I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake.
nice.
I certainly did not expect that ending. I will not be spoiling it because it's still too new, but I had a prediction early on of where I thought that game was going to end, sort of with how the first act finished up with the original game, and it sure does not do that.
It kind of smacks you around a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think the ending was 100% successful for me. I don't think it's bad, but it definitely veers off in... The majority of the game is playing... being sort of loose with the plot line of Final Fantasy VII. And you eventually figure out why, because the game has a really, really fascinating meta commentary on how far can a remake separate itself from an original work. And it addresses those things in some really interesting ways. And the ending of the game seems to diverge fairly heavily from the original game in some minor but some fairly major ways. There's a character that shows up in the Final Fantasy VII Remake in like the last 10 minutes. Where I was like, hey, wait, what? Why are they here? Wait, what is happening? That's not the timeline? Wait, what? So like there's some interesting stuff where they're sort of...
It's Kate Sith.
No, the cat that sits on top of Kate Sith does show up for like a hot 3 seconds in a big storyline thing. I'm like, hey, it's him. All right. See you in a little bit, buddy. Whenever part 15 comes out, I guess.
Mhm.
See you later. No, I can't say who it is because it's too big of a spoiler. But I don't want to too heavily judge the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, because it very much is, here is the end of the Midgar story, and here is how we're resolving them leaving Midgar. And then, like, number one, the last line of the movie is really great, or the game is really great. But, like, it still is very open-ended, because obviously there are more parts. Like, the game even says, like, the journey will continue in the future. It's like, see you for part 2. So I don't...
Come back 2025 for Boston's full thoughts on the Final Fantasy remake starting from part 1.
Probably. On the
2025
PS6.
would be generous.
Yeah, on the PS6, we'll see the conclusion. So I don't want to too heavily judge it. I think there's so much going on at the end that it is still taking me a little bit of time to wrap my head around what happened. I will say possible spoilers if you want to go into this game 100% blind. Skip forward a couple of minutes. Not the largest spoiler. You know, if you've played this game for more than 3 hours, what I'm going to talk about. I wonder if this game would have been better with no Sephiroth in it. And I know that the original game largely doesn't have any like sightings of Sephiroth until you get to Calm, and like you get the full story dump about why he is so great. And I understand why you would want to have Final Fantasy's most popular villain in your game, especially his game. But I wonder if the tension would have paid off a little bit better had you not been seeing him fairly regularly, and maybe the first time you run into him is in the Shinra building. I obviously they're not going to change it now, but it's one of those things I think of as like, you know, have you been showing your hand a little bit too early by kind of having him show up every couple of hours? I finished this in 31 hours, not going for the platinum. It's not worth it.
Hard mode is not worth it.
Hard mode is not worth it, and the chapter skip kind of sucks. Yeah. Like, the chapter selection is very much like, all right, you pick chapter 10. You gotta sit through all this storyline and slow walking stuff just to do this thing. And say, I got stuff to do. I largely really liked Remake. I think it's really solid. I like the battle system a lot. It's incredible looking. The new soundtrack is really great. The new version of One Winged Angel is incredible. Which, as someone who doesn't like One Winged Angel, it's incredible.
I think we were talking about it the other week. I think we were all talking about One Winged Angel and the various covers on it.
Yeah.
I literally went out and listened to like 5 different versions of it right after the show.
I did too.
This new version is really good. And I liked it. And the largest piece of feedback that I have heard from people is that, like, well, the story's really confusing in it, but I won't play the original. And it's like,
then you won't know.
Then it's not done.
The story in the first one is just as confusing, I'm guessing.
Yeah, the story in the original is fine. The translation didn't really do it any favors, but it's a fairly straightforward thing by the time you get to the end.
I still don't know why Cloud is in the wheelchair.
Because he fell into the live stream and it jacked him up.
Yeah.
Okay, and why does he wake up from the wheelchair?
Because
he gets over his like imposter syndrome during all of that.
Yeah. Basically, he's having a mental breakdown, and the live stream just kind of jacked up his personality more than it already was fragmented to begin with.
Having like an existential crisis.
I got time.
Yeah,
because I know there's the whole thing with him and Zack and Sephiroth and Soldier and blah 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 blah. It's just like
Angel, if you want to go to the other one.
Yeah. Give me a good moody squall any day of the week, rather than whatever's going on with Cloud.
I think that's one of the larger selling points of this one is, I feel like everybody except for Cloud had really strong characterization in the original. And Cloud was just sort of Squall light. Diet Squall. Like, he never really had a super great... Yeah, right. He never really had like super great characterization. And I think in this one, they do such a good job of him being stoic, but having a bunch of opportunities for that armor to fall every once in a while and get like, he's a normal dude that like did some crazy stuff way too young. And I think that is one of the bigger selling points in this is you get a better character out of Cloud who wasn't always a great character in the original.
Yeah. So Cloud is Liquid Snake.
Brother!
No, he is Solidus.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Wait. Okay, if we're going to go down that line, then Liquid is Sephiroth and what? Thingyo is...
Yeah, I mean, really, if you want to put it in context, all right, so Cloud is Solid,
Mhm.
Sephiroth is Liquid, and Zack is Solidus.
Boom. There you go. Got
Okay.
it. So I think I just want to go on my soapbox here for a minute. If you're not going to play the original and you're only going to play Remake Part 1, you don't get to complain. There's a lot of stuff that's in that game where it's like, why is Tifa wearing a cowboy hat? You'll find out later. It sucks. Or you can spend the $7 and play the original, which can move at triple speed and give you God mode now. So you could just go do that, or you can shut up. But yeah,
I will say that I do like a lot of the extra story stuff. I like that there's enough story in there that if you've played the original, you know what's happening. But I like that they've tweaked just enough.
Yeah.
That even someone who's played the original, it's like, all right, where's this going? Like the ending of the game.
Yeah.
Once you've seen everything that's happening in part 1, it's like, all right, I know what should be happening in part 2, but I don't know what's gonna actually happen in part 2, and I kind of like that.
Yeah, and they like throw a fairly large monkey wrench in like the last couple of minutes of cutscenes where it's just like, cool, I don't know how you're going to resolve this, or if you are and I'm just misunderstanding it, but like I'm very excited for part 2 whenever it comes out, just to see. I wasn't expecting this game to diverge at all from the original, and now that it is, I'm very excited to play more of it just to see how they handle the rest of it. This was really good, and I think it's now on sale for $40, maybe permanently. And if you have a PS4, or a year from when it came out on PS4 and Xbox One, it will. I would really recommend it. Whether you liked the original or not, it's such a different work that I recommend it pretty wholeheartedly. Unless you really don't like JRPGs, then just don't bother.
Okay, so note to my wife, don't bother.
No, it's not gonna be one of those things where it's like, it's not like the first Mass Effect where it's like, oh, now I like RPGs. All right, cool. Like you put a nice wrapper around it. It's like, no, it's still a JRPG. Like you still have Cloud's big dumb spiky hair and his giant dumb sword. Like it's still Final Fantasy VII. It's just not turn-based and looks stupid good.
From what I've seen, like, it looks incredible.
Yeah.
So break out the hot guys of Final Fantasy for the next 20 years calendar.
Yes.
So you can try and figure out when the next one's going to come out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Square says they're hard at work at part 2, which I don't believe them at all. So
no.
See it eventually, I hope. I did play some more Fall Guys. I did get my first win finally, largely because the person in front of me didn't realize that you have to hit R2 to grab the crown and just bounce their face off of it, which was really great. So I now have one victory, and that will probably be the only one, because as much as I enjoy this game and like playing it a little bit every day, I'm not that great when it comes down to the last round.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Last game here that I've been playing, I got a PC key for the Marvel Avengers beta. And we've been talking about this game every once in a while when it comes up, and I don't think any of us are particularly excited or interested in it.
Nope. Let me tell you, it looks beautiful from what I've seen on the screenshots. Like, it looks real good.
Yeah.
And don't think it looks like it plays particularly well.
I kind of like it.
Yeah, but dude, this is a loot game, and you are a Diablo head.
I don't really care about the loot in this. I mean, at the very least in the beta, it doesn't seem like it makes all that much of a difference. I expect in the full release it will. I gotta say, Crystal Dynamics, stop showing the beginning of this game. It sucks. The beginning of the beta starts with the tutorial, and it sucks. It is, I'm Thor, and then I'm switching to Iron Man, I'm switching to the Hulk. It doesn't look great. It runs fine. there's like three people
saw at E3 like 2 years ago.
100%. It's the same thing again. And like, I get it. You're showing the controls for each individual person, and you're kind of meeting all of the Avengers. If somehow you haven't seen any Marvel movie from the last 25 years, you don't know who Black Widow is, you get to know who she is. It just, it doesn't control as well as the other stuff. It's not super interesting. The thing that I did like is when you are playing as Black Widow, you get a fun boss fight against Taskmaster, who has like the right outfit on, not like the one in the movies. This is very much a comic book game as opposed to a Marvel movie game. And it was a cool boss fight where you're dodging at the last second and it's like slowing movements down because you did a cool dodge. And
Which time except in Russian?
Yes, very much so. And like you're parrying attacks he's doing, and you're sort of like doing suplexes onto bombs he's dropped on the ground to do damage. And it was like a pretty cool boss fight. Thor is very much like, hey, do you play the most recent God of War? Because you're gonna throw his hammer just like that. It's like, that's fine. Tony is like, hey, do you want to hover with confusing controls and fire a blast from your hands and chest? He's gonna do that.
Let me tell you about a little game that I like to call Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, I wish. Captain America played all right. That was pretty fun to play as. That whole thing goes on, and they give you the whole big story beat with A-Day, and like, if you've seen anything in the game, the Avengers mess up, and they're like public enemy number one, and it cuts to like 5 years later, and things are still really bad after that happened. And if 5 years isn't right, I apologize. It all kind of goes a little fast. And my PC wasn't running it super well because my PC's a little old. The bad part is it gives you another level right after that. I wish I would have played more of this, but I put 2 hours into it. I played like 3 missions, and it didn't seem like it was going to finish. So that beta seemed fairly large, which it should be because it was 27 gigs. But the next mission they give you is Kamala, Miss Marvel, and Bruce Banner are going to go find a super old copy of Jarvis so they can find Tony Stark. And eventually you find like this AIM compound in the jungle, which is perfect for AIM. And the bad part is it takes a really long time for you to play as Miss Marvel, the fun character, and it has you play as the Hulk a whole bunch. And it's not great. It's not... I think he's the least fun out of all the characters they have you play, because it literally is just Hulk smashing everything. And like the counter system doesn't seem to work with him, or I was hitting the wrong button. I'm not entirely sure. He does have like wall running stuff he can do, and like scrambling up walls and stuff. It just didn't feel super great. And then you get to play as Miss Marvel, who has these giant, super long limbs. Yeah, where you're like smacking dudes from 300 yards away. And like with these giant, and one of her big attacks is just her palm turns huge and she just smushes it against a bunch of enemies. Her ultimate attack is her getting super big and like stomping on a bunch of people. It's like, yeah, man, like superhero stuff. Like, this is really good. So I played through a whole bunch of missions. It feels surprisingly good. They don't give you a super amount of loot like I was expecting, but Moon, you were telling me yesterday that Ben Pack over at Giant Bomb played the beta for like 10 hours, so I'm assuming they give you some better stuff down the line, but I'm a lot more interested in it after playing the beta. Seemingly everybody in our Discord server feels the opposite. But mostly because the tutorial does not make a good first impression. But I kind of had fun. I'm a lot more interested in the game, I'm not like a pre-order buy it day one sort of convert. I'm still definitely going to be looking out for some early reviews, but I'm a lot more interested in this than I was expecting, and I was expecting to come out of this being like, yeah, man, this thing sucks as much as it looks like it sucked, but no, it looks pretty good.
Is this tickling that that center of your brain, which in the year of our Dark Lord 2020 is like, just give me some simple comfort food gaming?
Yeah, I think that's part of the appeal of it is like light attacks are on X, strong attacks are on Y. One skill is on right bumper, the other skill is on left bumper. Your ultimate is by hitting both of them. Like it feels very much like one of those. Every enemy has a health bar and a level above their name. And like you're level 5 and all these dumb aim idiots are level 1 and you hit them twice with the Hulk and they just disintegrate. Like it does feel very much like that. And I know that there's some larger environments as you go through, and I have heard that there's like a hub world sort of thing. So it seems like it could potentially be one of those like Diablo comfort food style things where it's like, I got a green and it's 2 more punching damage for Kamala. Cool. Now I can swap that out, break down the other thing, upgrade it with some nanites or whatever, and like get that sort of that dopamine hit. But I didn't play enough of the beta, or enough of the beta wasn't there for me to definitively say like this seems like a significantly large game. I know that Crystal Dynamics and Square are saying like, we're going to put out a bunch of free characters and we're going to put out a bunch of free story beats. So like over the first year of the game for free, we're going to keep the story going on. And that sounds like a really great dream, but I'm not going to hang my hat on that for $60.
Let me point over here to Anthem.
Exactly. Yeah. Like these dreams and these wishes are all really good, but if the game sells 35,000 copies, you're not really going to do that. So I don't know. I mean, I think coming out of it, I'm pretty interested in it. And if this is getting smart delivery in a PS5 patch, so at the very least, when I buy my new consoles, I could have something right away to play that's sort of a meatier experience. And I don't know. I'm kind of interested in it now. I think that's kind of the best outcome is, yeah, this seems okay. As opposed to
there's only one good Hulk game.
Right, the one for PS2 and GameCube.
Ultimate Destruction, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And they didn't replicate that.
About Lego Marvel.
No, that has some good Hulk stuff in it, but yeah, I mean, this isn't an open world game, so I feel like they can't really replicate that sort of Hulk. So I think maybe that's where some of my disappointment comes from. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on it now, as opposed to like, oh yeah, that thing's coming out in like a month.
How well would it compare to the Ultimate Alliance games?
I think it's pretty different. The Ultimate Alliance games, I think, feel a little bit more arcadey, where this is trying to be more like a third-person character action game. But you're controlling all of the Avengers. And it seems a lot more story-based, as opposed to like there's a lot of voice acting. There's a couple cutscenes here and there. Like they're really trying to tell an Avengers comic story, as opposed to Dr. Doom's doing it again. Go get him, and then punch. You know, I expect him to show up again, but like it feels like a little bit of a different thing.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's all I've been playing this week. So let's take a break.
No, let's take a nap.
Jimbo is right in chat. The original Final Fantasy VII has just dropped on Game Pass, so you can play the original for literally no money and just turn on God mode. Okay.
No money, but still complain about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so many people that are like, I finished Remake and I don't really understand the story. It's like, yes, it's just the beginning. Yeah. I'm sorry that Square didn't put part 1 on it, but you know, sorry.
Well, yeah, it's just I've seen a lot of that too. We're like, well, I don't feel that I should have to play the original. It's like, okay, then that's the story you have. Then what you got
Right.
is what the story is.
What do you think is happening in the story?
Yeah.
Like, dream about it until, like we used to do when you'd get a copy of EGM and there's screenshots of Final Fantasy VIII. There's like one screenshot a month, and you're like, what is this stuff? Why are they fighting a T-Rex? What's going on in this game? Like, I don't know. What do you think?
The weirdest thing. I never understand how the video game community just up and decides to divide itself. But you get people who dig into the lore with like the Souls games,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, no, don't tell me anything. I want to figure it out. And
Right.
then there's people where they're being hand-fed story, and they're like, I don't get it. This game sucks.
Right? It's just like, I don't know how to help you, man. Yeah, I feel very good about the direction that series is taking after finishing the first one. Especially once the game starts questioning, like, how far can a remake go? And it's like, yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad the game itself is posing the question about the game itself.
I am really interested in seeing if they try to go open world or if they keep it kind of on the linear path that it was on.
I feel like they're never gonna... Like, I'd love for them to do an open world where, like, the second one starts with, like, boom, you're just in the world, go nuts.
Yeah.
And, like, I feel like the development costs for making a game that looks like that
Pretty.
in an open world, unless they, like, very much make it look like the original Final Fantasy VII, where it's like, here's a big world and here's these big characters walking larger than they should on an open world. Like, that would be really
I'd
great.
fucking buy that.
Yeah, like, that would be really great, where it's just like... But I feel like the people who didn't like part 1 not being a full game would be like, this looks so... Look at how big they are on this big dumb map. And all of us are like, yeah, this is awesome. They did it again. Great.
Yeah, 'cause honestly, all they have to do, open up with calm.
Yeah.
There's your hour-and-a-half story backfill in, and then you just play the game.
Yeah, I feel like it's really easy to say, like, the opening cutscene is them catching up on the way to walking to Calm, hit that big story beat with Calm where they figure out the truth behind, like, Cloud and Sephiroth, and then sort of, like, it's off to the races there. Yeah. Excited.
I want to HD Vincent.
Man, he's going to look so good. With all these redesigns, like, even if they redesign him or they don't, he's going to look really good. And if they don't have Steve Bloom voicing him, I swear to God, we'll burn this house down.
I still can't wait to get the rest of the summons, man. Knights of the Round better still be a fucking 6-minute summon.
Right, the only unskippable summon. Yeah. Yep.
No, it's like I love the fan art that's come out of this remake.
Yes.
Like, the fan art is so much more detailed than it ever used to be. Except for the Advent Children period when it suddenly got hyper detailed and then went back to not
a little
detailed
too
again.
much. Yeah.
But like Jen Bartel, who is a Marvel
I love her
illustrator,
stuff. Yeah.
like some of the shit she's doing with fucking the fan art of this is hilarious and a little bit filthy at the same time.
She's putting out a book eventually of all this stuff, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy that.
I'm tempted to as well, and I don't even fucking like Final Fantasy VII that much.
I just want to support her, really, because it's very much like, I have unexpectedly loved this game, and for the last couple of months, I'm drawing a lot of fan art. It's like, yeah, man, you do you. Like, have fun with it.
Like, seeing her, like, I'm really tempted to pick up her 2 Captains print. Fucking Captain America, Captain Marvel. That is a fucking piece of incredible art. And also, she happened to be one of the illustrators who worked on Captain Marvel as well.
Yeah, I've been following her for a really long time. I don't remember where I found her, but or how I found her on Twitter. But yeah, her stuff is really good.
I think I found her through the "Don't at me" pin when it was first in prototype stages. Someone retweeted her "Don't at me" pin.
Oh, I think I found her because of the Brie Larson, Miss Marvel stuff, where she drew like that picture of Brie Larson, where it's like, "Don't ask me to smile," and like Brie retweeted. And I was like,
Nin t-shirt.
Yeah, and I was like, this is really good. Like, I follow a lot of artists on Twitter because it makes Twitter a lot better. Yeah, she's.
Let me tell you, when I'm doom scrolling, it's literally like shit news, shit news, shit news, amazing art, shit news, amazing art,
exactly.
Art, shit news, amazing
fun
art.
cat gifs.
Yeah, cat gif, friends, winky anime girl, face to each other.
Right.
Like, it's just fucking ridiculous.
Yep.
Dude, I fell down a hole on Twitter about trying to figure out what the fuck HoloLive was.
Okay.
Or HoloLive? Something.
Yep.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but that's apparently a thing.
What
Yeah.
the fuck are you talking about?
Look it up.
No.
I've been trying to spend a lot less time on Twitter lately, and it has been working really well. It's been nice.
I don't follow that many people, so I don't have to deal with that many shit posts.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I only get like maybe one.
To me, it's
every
just
other month.
just like the constant barrage of how terrible the world is. It's like, yes, I'm well aware. I'm largely powerless because I'm trying to stay safe in my home in the middle of a global
I
pandemic.
follow a whole bunch of those radical left Antifa terrorists. So
Right.
I just get retweets of all of the horrible things that the radical left want to do to the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, fund the fucking post office!
God, how dare they? Filthy scum.
I got in a major argument with a coworker who's like full on Republican, like to the point that nobody can do anything right with this country if they're not Republican.
Right.
I work with everybody like that. Every single person I work with is a fucking right-wing job.
Which
Yeah.
I don't have an issue if you associate with being a Republican, a Democrat, or whatever. I don't associate
absolutely.
with anybody because they're all fucking corrupt and they all fucking suck and not a goddamn one of them are doing their fucking job.
But if you say, like, have
But-
you heard what QAnon said? And it's like, fucking no.
Yeah.
Go away.
When he started talking about Black Lives Matter and stuff, I just lit his ass up for 45 minutes at work, and then I just
Nice.
didn't hear from him for the rest of the night.
Even better.
Yeah.
Man.
I've been getting pissy at work, so people have just been leaving me alone because I'm like fucking fed up of fixing their shitty mistakes that I point out again and again and again and again and again. So I'll walk in on one day, someone will do something fucking wrong that I've told them not to do.
You just
and time
look at them.
I'll start to raise my voice a little bit, and I don't raise my voice.
Right.
So as soon as I start to raise my voice, people leave me the fuck alone, and usually that lasts about a week, and then I have
Say
to do it
stuff
all
like,
in one-
yeah, God, if only someone had put it in the spreadsheet everyone has access to. And you're like, ha, ha, ha. Paul seems like he's in a bad mood. It's like,
You handle it way better than I do because I write a professional email about it, and then later on somebody will ask me about it, and I'm just like, did you not read the fucking email?
Don't make me tap the sign.
Mhm.
All right, you guys ready to wrap this thing up?
Oh, hang on. No, I got one more thing.
Okay.
On top of that email thing, somebody had sent me a Skype message because I was asking them a question about something, and somebody's like, well, you can't fix stupid. To which I Skyped back, read that slower and out loud. That's the end of my gripe.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk releases for the week of August 17th, 2020. Microsoft Flight Simulator comes out on PC. So many people are so excited about this, and this makes me so happy.
Yeah.
Just
When I see literally the entire Shift F1 podcast crew, Drew Scanlon, pilot,
yes,
you know,
actual human pilot.
like people like those three people basically coming out and saying, "Yo, this is the hotness."
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay. I don't need to buy a HOTAS. I don't need to buy a HOTAS. I don't get me wrong. I now have two purposes for it, which is Microsoft Flight Simulator and Elite Dangerous. But I don't need to buy a HOTAS.
You need
Just get
3.
the Xbox One HOTAS. It works on PC and Xbox.
No, shut up. That's the whole point.
But then you have to buy a couple more monitors, and you have to buy a better desk and a chair, and then next thing you know, you're on TV for like building a completely accurate cockpit for
My strange
home.
addiction.
Can't tell you how many times I've watched videos about people who built Elite Dangerous cockpits, and it just keeps giving me ideas.
It's so fascinating. Like,
It
you've
is.
spent so much time and money on this, and you still love the game. It's great.
And my favorite thing is when they're like, yeah, I built this whole dongle board. It doesn't do anything. It lights up, but it looks cool. I'm like, yeah.
It has some. I like hitting the dip switches, but it's not hooked up to anything. It's like a busy board for toddlers, where it's like, ooh, this spins. Also coming out, Mortal Shell for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. I meant to go watch the trailer for this because everyone seems to be excited for it, and then I forgot before we did the show. Also coming out. Also coming out, Battletoads for the Xbox One and PC. Hits Game Pass day and date. You can preload it now.
Got me again with your stupid D&D thing.
I'm in a check this out because the screenshots are not indicative of how the game moves, and the trailers have not shown a lot of gameplay. So I feel like I feel like this is one of those extremes games. Either it's like Streets of Rage 4, where it's like, this should not be this good. Okay, that's a genuine surprise. Or it's the other end of the spectrum where it's like, yeah, this is about as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, who knows? With Game Pass, the investment is fairly low.
I totally forgot to mention, by the way, Xbox now has a new feature on their games library, which is a surprise me button, just so you know.
Yes, perfect. On the Xbox dashboard.
So you guys finally got that randomizer?
If you hit if you go into My Games and Apps library, and then if you just on the Games tab, very top right-hand corner, it just says, surprise me. So
perfect. Yeah, because that was on...
says, while playing Siege, you can let Jesus take the wheel.
Yeah, Moon and I have been praising that over on the PC side for a while, where it's like a D20 where you hit surprise me, and it's just like, how about this game? It's on Game Pass. So, good for them. Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition is coming out on iOS and Android. I didn't really hear anything bad about the first one on mobile, so I'm expecting that it is just the game with touch controls, which should work perfectly fine. So if you wanted to get into Danganronpa, I don't think they're available for purchase right now on the PS4, so this is probably a pretty good place to get them.
Because they're Vita games.
No, the licensing is moving from one company to another.
I was going to say, isn't this the one where the publishers lost the license and now the developers are getting the licensing back?
Yeah, and then they're like handing it over to Xseed from someone else. So it's like, it'll be down off the store for a week and then it'll be back available. Yeah. New Super Lucky's Tale comes out on PS4 and Xbox One. I'll probably check this out when it gets cheap because I like, bright blue sky character platformers. And last but certainly not least, PGA Tour 2K21 comes out on PC, Switch, PS4, Xbox One, and Stadia.
AKA the Golf Club.
Yes, the latest golf club. This is HB Studios has been purchased, assimilated, absorbed, Carrion style into 2K, and they rebranded the golf club games because like last year it was like the golf club with PGA Tour, and this year it's just like, hey, it's 2K21. It's just getting this branding back. So very, very excited to see what this turns out to be. Happy to see it's coming out on Switch because I feel like this, as wide of a net as you can cast with these games, is good.
Definitely.
Since I guess we'll never get another Tiger Woods game again after the last...
He doesn't exist anymore. Justin McElroy is the person you're thinking of.
Yeah, God, that game just...
Wait, no, it's not Justin McElroy. That's the tennis guy.
Rory McIlroy.
The other guy.
Yeah, Rory. That game bombed so hard, and it was fine. That was an okay EA Sports golf game, but just the golf club had happened.
The licenses get so annoying that they're the same game year after year that you just don't buy them anymore.
Yeah.
Hi FIFA, hi Madden. How you doing?
Whoops. Yeah. All right, let's move on to news stories. I just titled this one Fortnite Craziness.
Can I please?
Yes.
Can I take this one? Because I can sum it up pretty quickly, and also I want to throw out two big shout outs.
Sure. I will start from the beginning.
Okay, no, I'm not going to start from the beginning.
Okay,
basically,
I will do that once you're done with your summary.
Forza put a bunch of options to buy on the Fortnite. Fortnite put stuff in their app which allowed people to buy stuff through their app to bypass the Apple App Store, so therefore Apple got annoyed. Apple banned Fortnite from all iOS devices.
Yes.
That's the long and short of it, basically.
Well, to specify, when Epic did that in the store, there were two options. One was buy from the Apple Store, let's say 1,000 V-Bucks for $10. And you can buy through Apple, and they'll take her 30%. Or buy through us, and for $8, you can get 1,000 V-Bucks. Whoa, super cool. So then, of course, Apple and then Google both took it down from their respective stores.
Yeah, so... Epic, knowing full well what they were stepping into, already had lawsuit papers ready to file
a 65-page lawsuit where it's just like, oh, weird, they pulled us down. Look at this lawsuit I found. That's the exact same thing. Crazy. Here you go.
You know those archos where it's like, here is one I was working on earlier.
Mm-hmm.
It's that swap out. It's
Through
like,
the
oh,
magic of television, the pot roast is done cooking.
exactly. It's that. So
Yeah.
they literally immediately had a lawsuit ready to file because they knew this was going to happen.
Yep.
So they can literally let's get into the corporation versus corporation war.
Right.
Specifically, Epic is suing over anti-competitive prices, which, guess what? Apple are so guilty of that. So is
Right.
Microsoft. So is Epic.
Right.
So is Steam. So
And-
is a lot of things.
And now they've sued both Apple and Google.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Apple, who are like, no, we want to ensure the quality of everything on our platform.
Mhm.
Also, here is a free game called The Fall Boys.
Right.
Weirdly enough.
Weird.
But the thing specifically I wanted to shout out here was, number one, the immediate lawsuit filing ready to go.
Right. Hilariously transparent.
Top move there. Number two, the in-game thing that they run.
This is
Because I
the
think
this is the part where I turn on Epic.
For me, this is chef's kiss. Like, don't get me wrong, they're all corporations. They're all evil and they're all
Right.
D-bags.
They're not
Like,
your friends.
No, they're not your friends. But the fact that the Epic remade the Apple 1985 ad
Mhm.
in Fortnite models with a Fortnite character running and throwing a staffed unicorn into the monitor.
Yeah.
I think that is such a superb touch of petulant class that it just deserves to be mentioned.
I would be okay with that if it wasn't weaponizing Fortnite fans with the hashtag.
Oh, 100%.
That's the problem.
big
That's the part
problem.
where I really take an issue is like, us, your friendly corporation worth billions, is now saying, how about we fight against the man, another $1 trillion corporation? It's like, no, stop using the hashtag. None of them are your friends. Their Epic does not have altruism as their end goal. It would be really great if the iOS store especially would take less of a cut from developers, especially super small ones where 30% is huge. Because if you were to take 12 or 18% like the Epic Game Store does, that can help you reap more of a return on your game, which will help you fund your next game. 30% is a lot.
It should be. Stop me if you might have heard a concept like this before, but it might be better if they did like some form of like taxation scale.
A scale that slides potentially?
The fewer copies of a game that is sold, the less percentage they take.
God, that's just so crazy.
I don't know how you guys did it in Great Britain, but here in America.
Right. But I think my concern is at the end of the day, the real end goal for Epic, they don't really care about the Google store because you can sideload Fortnite on there because that's how it started. I think the real end goal is to get an Epic Games launcher on iOS.
Yeah.
And I think that's their end goal. If along the way that 30% comes down, great. And if along the way it helps Project xCloud get on iOS, that would be really great too. But I'm concerned about the collateral effects of letting Epic get away with whatever their end goal really is.
Honestly, for me, this all boils down to let them go to the court of law. Let them get into hissy fights with each other. That's fine. Like you said, the weaponization of the people is the problem, especially the people who are 12-year-old kids who don't realize that nobody cares about you except for your parents right now, kid.
Right, and it's just like, I just want to play Fortnite with my friends. Like, why is Fortnite gone?
Like, don't loop them people into it. Like, specifically this, it's a really crappy move because Epic are essentially using a rough time for Sony PR. Well, it's not Sony, for Apple PR, because there is a lot of additional stuff going on in the EU with Apple right now.
Yeah.
Like, they're using that as a time to throw more dung on the PR fire. So maybe the timing is good, maybe it's bad, maybe from a corporate's perspective, which are, as we all know, living in the US, all corporations are alive and living beings and perfectly entitled to the rights of every single human being out here.
That's correct.
Like, maybe that is a smart thing.
Right.
But at the end of the day, whatever floats out from this, be it good for consumers or bad for consumers, they're not doing it for us. Nobody is. I just happen to think that Epic using that particular advertisement,
It's a good,
particular meaning behind it was
it's a good thorn in their
fantastic
side.
slap.
Well, and I think if you're paying attention to gaming news, this is sort of a 1-2 punch with Apple rejecting xCloud at the same time. And from a certain perspective, I understand Apple's perspective because they are unable to say that everything within Project xCloud, let's say it's 100 games that you can stream, they cannot verify that all 100 of those are on the up and up and are age appropriate for the rating that xCloud is. Because if you don't use iOS, parental controls apply top to bottom in iOS, and that includes the store. So if you have a kid's account essentially, and your parent or guardian says, well, you can't buy any games that are rated for like 10 and up. That might include xCloud, even if the games it's in it are just like, well, I want to play Viva Pinata, and that's an E game. So I can understand that perspective from Apple, but at the same time,
Xbox also has parental controls, though. Like, you can lock
right,
that stuff down by accounts.
There has to be a failing at some point of Apple's SDK where it's like, well, Microsoft should be able to say in their program, X number of games are E, which align with this age rating on iOS, T, M, etc. So there should be a tool for someone like Valve or Microsoft or Stadia, who also doesn't have a Stadia app on iOS for the same reason. There should be a way to say, here's this equivalency, and if we mislabel something or if we fall out of line, we acknowledge that we could potentially be pulled off of the store until we get it resolved. But Apple's doing this thing again where they're saying, like, no, of course not. Like, why would we let this thing with 100 unknown, scary, dangerous games be in it? And then Fortnite, the largest game in the world, is now being pulled down by Apple. So it's like, it's this 1-2 punch of like, yeah, Apple, like, you gotta figure this out, and you sort of gotta get with the times.
Yeah,
Google Store has its own problems, like Fall Boys, but like, that's more easily resolved.
But it's also a giant, relatively open source platform on Android. Like,
Yes.
There's not a whole lot that you can do. Like, the whole thing with the Xbox Store and Steam and everything else, Steam now seems to have opened the floodgates and said, who cares, just put it out on Steam.
Yeah.
The whole thing with iOS and Xbox to a degree is they are closed platforms.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have a specific level of trust in those platforms to be able to have, like, you should be able to say, this is a game, this is the rating, I press A, it works. That's fine. That's why I like console gaming.
Like Fast and Furious Crossroads. It's not a fantastic game, but it functions. You didn't get a game that won't load, or you get 20 minutes in and it just hard locks your system and breaks it. Like, there's a level of functionality there that the game will work. Whether or not it's good or bad, that's not what they're ensuring.
Yeah, and we've seen companies skip past that all the time. I give you every single Bethesda game on the PlayStation 3 as a fine example of that.
God, what a mess that was.
That line of quality seems to be getting thinner and thinner as the years go by.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's basically non-existent at this point, but like you said, Boston, this is an Apple issue. Like, if they literally cannot, Microsoft can come out and say, you say this about xCloud, here is our Xbox account, here is the parental controls, here is the stuff that we have.
Yep.
You are the problem with why we cannot put this on your system, because we can't specify this at a point that you understand, because you're not willing to allow us that access to your stuff.
And Apple said, like, well, it's really easy. We just need to verify each and every single game that you can play through xCloud. And it's like, no. There's a minimum 100 of those that don't exist on the iOS or Android platforms. So you're sort of missing the point. It's
like,
It sucks.
They're not willing to trust anybody else with their account stuff, but they're not willing to open theirs up to allow anybody else to work within their
Right.
limits. It's
I mean, that's
stupid.
always been Apple's thing. Is like, we know what's best for you. No, we did not ask for your opinion.
Mhm.
You know, like, and this is me as someone who has an iPhone. I got a bunch of OS 10 machines here. Like, I've always used the Windows and OS 10 and Linux. Like, I've always used all the platforms, and they have their pluses and minuses. It's a very famous old song, "Every OS Sucks." But like, Apple's kind of, it's just like a bridge too far at this point. Like, you have to either get the tools together to make this easier for cloud computing because it's not going away this time, or you need to step aside.
Yeah.
That's it. Next news story, Forza Horizon 3 is reaching its end of life. As happens with all of the Forza Horizon games, they are going to move to a farm upstate and live their days off resting. Will be delisted on September 27. As it stands right now, all the game and all of its DLC, including the incredible Hot Wheels DLC, is on sale right now for super low prices. Go get it. You will be able to download it and play it after it gets delisted. That's not a problem. I think it's like $14 for the game and all the DLC and like all the extra, as Moon would say, gubbins. Like all that extra stuff is like $14. It's a steal.
It's a quality game too. Also, it makes me feel old because that's the game that got my wife to buy a Series X and a HDR TV.
Right. And
That feels
I know
like it was yesterday, by the way, for the record.
it does. Yeah. I know Forza Horizon 4 is on Game Pass, and Forza Horizon 4 is a great game. I think I might prefer 3 a little bit more, and the amount of content in there is crazy. So go pick it up. Game's really great. Microsoft also announced a launch window for Series X, which is November. Sometime in November, and that's really it. No price, no release date. The only other thing they announced is Halo Infinite is not going to be day and date with
I don't
Series
care in the
X.
slightest.
I mean, this isn't the most surprising thing. I feel like the worst thing you could potentially do with a new console launch is like be like putting out a bad Mario. Like if you put out Mario Sunshine, something like that. If you put out a bad Halo game.
Hold up.
I was waiting to see if someone would call me on that. Mario Sunshine is fine. It's not nearly as bad as everyone. I just wanted a
Mario
meme.
Sunshine is a great game. Don't get me wrong. It's no Galaxy. It's no 64.
Right.
But Sunshine is a fantastic third-person platforming game.
Yeah.
You go play
It's good.
Bugsy and tell me that Sunshine is a bad game.
No, I
play Bugsy released in 2020 and tell me
you
that Sunshine
compare
is a bad game.
Bugsy to any game.
Yeah.
And that other game is going to be better.
Boogerman's great. Oh, because I just played Bubsy. No, Mario Sunshine is a good game. Everyone put their knives down. But they're largely citing ongoing COVID-related impacts affecting us all this year, end quote. So, like, they're just saying, quote, it is not sustainable for the well-being of our team or the overall success of the game to ship it this holiday, end quote. So, It's just not done. And, like, 2020 is a super weird and difficult year, as you should probably know. And it's just affecting a whole bunch of stuff. Like, Bloodlines 2 just got delayed into 2021 also, because it's just not done. Like, a bunch of stuff is just not done, and that's okay.
Especially in game dev, you can only do so much work from home. Because you need powerhouse machines to do game dev at the best of times.
Yeah.
And I know a couple of game devs who literally have like my style of PC, which is a bare bones get through the day,
like a consumer. Yeah. Well, and
then though, you need the internet to be able to pull down and push up the data, and
hundreds of gigs.
Has great internet.
Yeah. Well, and I think
QA and testing, which is a whole nother mess by itself.
Yeah, and I think it's especially important for the first Halo game on a new generation to be really great, especially when it's on Game Pass, because the friction for getting that game onto your console is really low, especially if it's shipping on both Xbox One X and Series X at the same time. the install base that has Game Pass and one of those consoles is huge. And if it's just a turd out of the gate, that's a lot of eyes on that game.
Let
So
me point to Exhibit A, the Master Chief Collection.
I was just gonna say Anthem. Exhibit A, Anthem. Yeah. In also crazy Series X news, bringing a smidge of the real world in here. A little bit of looting happening in Chicago recently, and allegedly, one of the items that was looted from the back part of a Best Buy was
one of the items that fell from the back of a truck.
Right. Wink.
Use the street term, please.
Right. That's right. Was the Robot White new new controller that would be launching alongside the Xbox Series X. It works with mobile devices, Windows 10, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. Wait, what? So this box, which apparently there's a whole bunch of controllers that were labeled don't display on store floor until November 16th, also shows Lockhart.
Guess what the release date is.
Yeah, wink. Also, apparently is the verification for Lockhart. We usually don't talk about thin rumors. Like Alana Pierce is out there saying she got a DM from someone that said the Series X is going to be $600. That's a pretty thin rumor, so we're kind of not going to talk about that unless...
At the end of the day, we can't talk about prices until Sony have talked about prices, because Microsoft sure as hell ain't going to talk about prices until Sony talks about prices. So right now, it's literally, Sony, please announce a price so Microsoft can do the same, because they're willing to take the loss, and then we can all just get on with saving for our new consoles.
It's halfway through August. I'm dying.
The other thing that I find weird about this, too, is that they're saying that they allegedly got it from a Best Buy.
Mm-hmm.
I worked retail for console releases.
Mm-hmm.
No one got anything months in advance. It was the week before, if you were lucky, that you got whatever you were going to get for the following week.
I feel like this is different, though, because it's a
Best Buy warehouse, is my guess.
Well, and it's different, too, because it's a controller that is agnostic from the Series X. Like, it works on everything. It's largely the same form factor. Like, it seems like technology they've had for a while. It's not like it's like the PS2 controller. It's like, the thing only kind of works with this.
It's not so much that, it's that they're saying that it has a street date of November 16th, which is why I'm like, why, even for a distribution center,
right?
I mean, we're still, 3 months out from November?
Yep.
Yeah, unless it was the massive, this is where Best Buy shoves everything for storage nationwide.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
It's just that part just seems a little fishy to me.
This could also be a case of manufacturing being a problem in 2020. They may have just shipped them out the door as quick as they could. Not realize
we could make them
get it out the door.
Yeah.
Like put a rush on this because we need this for November, and then suddenly things calm down a little bit, and then this thing that you might not get until
you can
November,
make and ship things now
3 months earlier.
Yeah, and I probably wouldn't have had us report on this if there wasn't like the box and the manual in it, and it connects to an Xbox One and a PC, and it functions. Like there's all this other stuff where it's like, no, it's actually a real, not just a box someone made. Like, here's all the bits, and here's the manual that shows how to sync it with the Xbox Series X, and like, here's where the sync button is, and like, there's a pretty significant amount of additional stuff there.
I'm also curious. The box, the image you pasted in the news stories here says for, para, and para.
Yep.
Now, for English, por French.
Yep.
Para Spanish. Para, I'm assuming, Portuguese, Spanish.
Probably, yeah.
If it's the exact same word, why are you putting it in twice? But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, I don't know. There are like regional laws about that stuff that's really crazy. Let's bang out a couple more. I'm gonna skip one of these news stories. Dead by Daylight now supports crossplay on PC and consoles. So if you want to join the Dead by Friday squad,
pick your poison, Boston, and install it.
That's right. The last news story.
That was an order. Pick your poison and install it.
Yes, sir. Last news story here. We're going to skip over one because we're running long again, unsurprisingly. Sony's latest State of Play, they showed off a bunch of PS4 and PS5 games, showed off Crash 4, which looks like a sequel to Crash 3 and actually looks fairly good. They showed off...
I didn't know this was happening, and I don't know. I didn't watch any of this, so okay. Let's go.
Yeah. I'll recap it for you. It was about like 40 minutes, and I'll hit you with the stuff that mattered. Hitman 3 will have a VR mode, which sounds pretty great. It's going to be like a greatest hits of levels from the whole franchise. Braid Anniversary Edition is going to be revamped artwork, which I'm going to assume that means they're painting it again. Better animations, revamped music, detailed commentary mode, and 2020 for all platforms, including current and next gen. That also means on the Xbox platform.
I'm sorry. Rewind a sec. Hitman 3R VR mode. Does that mean we get to do the catwalk as Helmut Kruger?
Oh my god, that'd be so good. I mean, it needs to happen. If it doesn't, like, I don't
Anyway,
know what they're doing. Braid Anniversary Edition, if you haven't played Braid is an okay game. The Pathless, they spent a bunch of time on this, and I wasn't sure why until they got to the actual gameplay. This looks like a really, really cool game where you're this archer with a falcon, and you're moving really fast, and the more stuff you shoot in the environment, the faster you move. But then there's also like these Zelda dungeons that have some kind of cool puzzle solving with archery, and then they showed you taking on these like giant fire beast bosses. So it's one of those things where you start watching it and you're like, okay, cool, it's like a sliding thing, sure, like I played Journey, it's fine. And like every new thing they show, you're like, oh, ooh, okay, oh, all right, yeah, I could be interested in this. That's kind of cool.
Like, because that sounds like a...
It seems more like a Zelda game, like an open world Zelda thing, but I don't know, maybe it's a roguelike.
Crossbow training, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Spelunky 2, they showed off a surprisingly long trailer that was essentially all of the ways that you could die in the game, which was really great. Releasing on September 15th for PS4, a couple of weeks later for PC. They said in the trailer they're still optimizing it. It's not running as great as they want to on PC yet, but it's going to come out basically as soon as they're done with it. No word on the other platforms yet, but I feel like it's going to come out pretty soon, because I don't think that's something you keep exclusive on a PS4. I hope not, certainly. They showed a gameplay trailer of Bug Snacks, where it focused a lot on like trapping and capturing the snacks themselves. God, that game looks really good. They just showed off a lot more stuff of people playing the game, and it's like, okay, cool, there is like a game in there. It's not just an earworm theme song and you eating a bunch of ribs and having rib arms, which would be fine, but, you know. They showed off a trailer for Control Expansion 2 AWE that starts with Alan Wake saying stay in the light, and then just finishes off with a shot of Alan Wake. So I'm gonna assume that Alan Wake is in the Alan Wake experience.
It's an altered world event, otherwise called the Alan Wake experience.
Yeah, they Remedy came out and they're like, we haven't really connected all of our games before. You know, it's a lot of wink and nod stuff, and we're doing that now. It's like, oh, okay, sure.
Cool. I'll see you next gen when I decide if I want to play that game or not. But that's a different issue. Keep going.
Yeah, they also announced that, hey, if you didn't buy the definitive edition with all the DLC, you won't be able to upgrade to the PS5 and Smart Delivery version. See you later. And that sort of stinks. I get it from a software development branching standpoint, but from a customer standpoint, as someone who bought Control day one, sort of stinks.
Yeah.
I'd like to play it on my PS5. With like ray tracing. The Pedestrian will be coming to PS4. If you haven't seen this before, this launched on Steam, I think last year. It's the one where you're doing platforming puzzles between street signs. So you're like hopping from one street sign to another to do platforming puzzles. Really cool. The Pokemon style game Temtem is coming to PS5, which I forgot wasn't on consoles yet, so I feel like that's going to be a pretty big deal when that lands. And then, bafflingly, Sony spent like 15 minutes showing gameplay trailers for Godfall, which looks way worse every time they show it. Like, this is a pre-recorded gameplay trailer. When I hear that, I kind of want to see some really cool gameplay come out of this. And what I saw was like what it would look like if I picked this game up for the first time and I kind of don't know the controls yet. It really, you guys got it. Gearbox, spend the money on the studio to get them to make better trailers. It just doesn't look fun yet, and Sony is really pushing this thing hard, and I do not understand why. And then they're like, that's Godfall. See you next time. It's like, oh, God. Okay. So, Godfall could be really cool. It just needs to come together in the last couple months here.
Take a breath.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to questions here. Nick R. Slick Nick writes us in an email that it is pretty significantly long because he sort of goes through a bit of an ordeal here, so I'm going to sort of recap it. He was playing Neon Abyss, got a blue screen, and he thought the game crashed. It turns out somebody had hacked his PlayStation account, and he signed Nick out of Nick's PlayStation to then sign into his to then make it his primary console. So couldn't get Sony on support line because it had just turned into the weekend. So wait until Monday to talk to Sony. Apparently Sony did a really great job of helping him reset the password, turned on two-factor authentication, which wasn't on before. Turn that on everything, everybody. It's super easy. And then he thought everything was okay. So then he gets to work on Tuesday. The other person had deactivated two-factor authentication on his account and gotten back in and then changed the sign-in name. So he had to get back on the phone with Sony, who then helped him set up a new email account, switch it over to this new email account to finally cut the cord on this guy that had hacked him, who Nick was saying wasn't even playing games that Nick owned, was playing his own games on his PS4 that Nick owns. It's just it doesn't even seem it's not even one of these FIFA things where it's I got in and spending your money.
I can tell you exactly what that is. It's probably not games that Nick owns, or it's probably games that somebody else he's done this to owns. Because, for example,
sure.
Boston, let's say, for example, that you wanted one hell of an Xbox library.
Sure.
And let's say, for example, that you had access to my login information and my wife's login information, and you set your console as our primary consoles.
By your powers combined, I now have 700 games.
Yes, you would be able to play any game that she's bought and any game that I've bought, whereas I wouldn't be able to play anything she's bought, and she wouldn't be able to play anything I've bought, which is how the quote-unquote game sharing currently works on digital purchases.
Right.
So now imagine you do that for 20 people.
Interesting.
All have your console as their primary console.
Okay. Interesting.
Almost as big of a library as Game Pass. I'm just saying.
Almost every game on the last 4 generations, yeah. He says, I got lucky with how everything turned out. He messed up one of my best runs in Neon Abyss. Won't forgive him for that. Thanks for letting me vent. Yeah. T-Bomb Rocks asks us a bunch of questions here in Discord.
We should probably also say, happy birthday, Nick.
Yes, happy birthday. Oh, yeah. It's, yes.
He doesn't have to work for the next 4 days, so he can still mess with all the crap that happened.
What a dream.
Those 4 days of fixing up that digital nightmare.
Yeah. T-Bomb Rock says, with all that's going on, it's easy to not see the light at the end of the tunnel. Gaming or not, what are some of the things that are keeping you going through everything, or something you are looking forward to?
Pizza, chocolate, trying to exercise, which I realize is counterproductive to the 2 I previously mentioned.
It balances them out, right?
Caffeine, nicotine, and honestly, just trying to distract myself with things I haven't seen before. There was a famous tweet went around a couple of days ago, which is yo, people with anxiety issues watch the same stuff over and over again because we know how it's going to end.
No surprises there, man.
No anxiety for watching all 7 seasons of Parks and Rec, except for tiers at the end of season 6 and tiers at the end of season 7.
Right.
Like, honestly, it's a little bit of everything. It's right now for me, it's doing everything I can to keep my mind busy. For my
Yeah.
wife, it's building a store and a base in DayZ.
Right.
You know?
We all have our stuff.
Yeah, for Boston, it's kids' TV shows in Neon Abyss.
God, heaven help me, yeah. And part of what I am looking forward to is the new consoles. Whether I can afford both of them or any of them or not, that's sort of not the point leading up to the launch. A lot of it is like, oh, cool, you announced this new trailer for this new Xbox Series X game that I'm super interested in, or here's a new trailer for this thing, or like here's a new feature on one of the new consoles in the dashboard. Like I like this I'm trying not to pay attention to the console wars stuff because it seems like it has happened even earlier this time, and it's at a fevered pitch because no one will release anything about either of them. Please God.
Everyone is also at home still, and
Yeah.
also, going stir crazy and angry.
Yeah. So I'm kind of excited about the new consoles, like that
new tech buzz.
Yeah, like new tech in general is always sort of like, ooh, look at this new thing. Ooh, cool. But like this is tech I would actually buy. Like I never have a problem being an early adopter on consoles because I put so much time into them that it's like, cool, I bought my PS4 day one, but I've put hundreds of hours into that console. So it's like the upfront cost over the next couple of years. It's not like I play it for 2 months and it's like, that was fun. $600 down the drain. $400 would be great. But like, the investment price seems high early on, but it's not like learning how to play guitar and I learned how to play Wonderwall. And it's like, this sucks.
That serves you right because you clearly were not the one that was going to save me. Nim?
I swear to God.
Wow. You made the reference first, dude. You
I
cannot
know.
be mad that I just finished your reference for you.
I know.
I don't know. I just wake up and go to work and then come back home.
Yep.
The only thing I'm excited for is Trails of Cold Steel 4, which comes out at the end of October.
I thought you were going to say the only thing I'm really excited for is the sweet embrace of sleep.
I can't even get into that anymore.
Ah, crap.
I was going to say the sweet release of death.
I didn't want to bring it that morbid, but sure, yeah. I'm not going to...
So many times where I've woken up and my wife is asking me a question. I'm like, babe, I am getting used to the fact that I woke up.
Right. I made it
Give
another
me a
day.
minute. Yeah.
My wife knows I am not a morning person.
Yeah. Oh,
Normally
man.
it doesn't matter for me. It's been a lot of life. Too much life.
Yeah. The 2020 : it's been a lot of life.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Not to bring it down, it's just been trying to keep up with my regular routines, work, trying to get some sleep, and then trying to fit in video games whenever I can. So,
Yeah.
But we've been recording for super long, so I'm going to save the rest of T-Bomb's questions for next week. Just sort of scoot those forward another week. That's our episode this week. You can visit us at tvgp.tv. Everywhere to find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. Remember, behind the scenes, early access, help me pay, make me cry, all the good stuff. We just released should have talked about this at the beginning of the episode. Just released a new episode of Game Club for Return of Obra Dinn. This is one of... Yeah, it's amazing. This is one of the few ones where we kind of can't not spoil it. So go play the game. It's going to take you like 7 hours to play. And then come back and listen to the episode. I haven't asked for this in years. Wherever you listen to this show, if you could rate it, like iTunes or Google or wherever you listen to this, if you could just take a second and rate it, your honest 5-star rating. If it's less than 5 stars, maybe don't. And you don't have to write like a... Hey, at least I'm honest.
5-star opinions matter.
Yeah, that's right. Your 5-star opinions matter. Anything else doesn't really matter. But like, I haven't asked for this in a really long time, but it really helps discovery and it really helps new people find the show. You don't have to write like a text review or anything. I think most places will say like, yay, 5 stars, or don't bother. So like if you can just rate it wherever you can, that helps out the show a lot.
be like Uber and Lyft. Give us 5 stars, and then just hit that little emote that says "Good talking," and
Yep.
then hit send. Send
Yep.
to podcast of choice or podcast player of choice, and problem solved.
Yep.
Also, tell a friend. Tell 2 friends.
Yeah.
In fact, it's my challenge. You don't have to do it today. You don't have to do it tomorrow. But I demand you do it before the end of August. Tell 2 friends.
That's right.
2 friends by the end of August.
Yep.
Hey, Moon, Boston. Let me
Yes.
tell you about this little podcast.
Wait a
I've been
minute.
listening-
This sounds familiar. Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it. All that stuff really helps out the show more than, posting on Twitter and Facebook. Like, that stuff really helps. But rating and telling friends and stuff, that seems to be the most impactful for shows as we race towards this show's 13th birthday. Show is almost a teenager. Heaven help us. It only goes downhill from here. Pretty soon we'll be learning to drive, and then no stopping this thing.
Mhm.
All right, but that's our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Wait, I
Bye.
got my license before the show did. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You got your license before 13?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. I mean, I drove
Real
a car when I
prodigy.
was 8, but
Yeah,
dude,
but
I
I mean,
got
that's
my-
just for
definitely
fun.
was not
license.
legal. Yeah.
I got my American license before the show got its license.
Right. Right.
Uh,
All right, Nimp, hit me with your titles.
all right, here we go. I have Fast Family Album. She Likes Hybrids. Get Your Boots On, Boys. I Paid to Be Vin Diesel. There Are Tunnels. Ampersand Tunnels. Does the Car Spray? Hashtag Family Idiot. Diet Squall. And Help Me Pay, Make Me Cry.
That one might be my choice, to be completely honest.
Diet Squall. I have another crying one, too. All right. Newsom. No. That you heard my brain just give up. It's been so
It
hot here
sounded like you were
lately.
going to say Nimp again for a second there.
You just
You almost
heard my
did it
brain
when
go.
you corrected it to yesterday.
Yep.
Okay. Right or wrong, get with the program. I love mechs. But, the weeaboo in me, let me shoot things with my giant robot arms and legs. So Gran Turismo. Sorry, I'm being Musum. Tree Squall, My Strange Addiction, I Play the Guitar Really Well, Digital Nightmare, and A Lot of Life.
I Need Someone Else to Cry, which is really great. Fast Family Album, I Paid to Be Vin Diesel, Does the Car Spray, and Diet Squall.
I don't know.
Jimbo Jangles in chat says dongle board, that's just fun to say.
Yes. What was your last one, Nim?
Help Me Pay, Make Me Cry.
That's a pretty good one.
That's got a lot of
I
good...
like both the cry ones.
Help me pay, comma, make me cry.
I think it has to be crying related. Boston, what's the other crying one?
I Need Someone Else to Cry. That might be better how it lands in the show, because it made all three of us laugh pretty hard.
Yeah, and honestly, it's also... The other one is a little bit more lighthearted as a show
Yes.
title.
That's a good point. Don't forget Hell Year. I'd be
'Cause
okay with Help Me Pay, Make Me Cry.
Yes.
It's like a U2 song title. All right, I'm going to circle it.
No, Help Me Pay, Make Me Cry is the anthem rap name.
That's right. All right, let me know when you guys are ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 669 for August 17th, 2020. Helping me pay, make me cry.
I need to feel...
Money, money, money. Money.
Moon, was that your, like, Metal Gear Solid voice acting reel? Make me feel, Snake!
No, I'm sorry, but I'm still so proud of the it's under 9,000. Like, that was
Yeah.
way more accurate than I intended it to be.
That one's really good, yeah. All right, thank
I
you
think
so
you
much,
just-
everyone.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and then you just completely left me in a lurk, even knowing full well that's what you were gonna go for, because it's the only thing you can do, and it was just nope, my part.
Short circuited
I have
you.
nothing.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for hanging out with us, watching us live, listening to us. Really appreciate it. See you next week. Bye.